Welcome to That Thing with James, a podcast about nothing in particular. I'm your intrepid host, James, and I have a sore throat. I'm trying not to get sick, but I've definitely got a sore throat. And so I'm skipping the song today. And regardless, I bring you entertainment because it gives me something to do. So I would say I'm going to keep this episode short, but every time I say I'm going to keep an episode short, it winds up running about an hour, and my throat cannot handle that. So I'll put it like this instead. Don't be surprised if this episode turns out to be around 20 minutes. Let's put it at that. Don't be surprised if it's at about the 20-minute mark. So no song. Let's jump into some quick business before we jump into today's stuff. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. There you can support the show and get access to over 130 bonus episodes. Yes, over 130 bonus episodes. Support the show. Get the peace of mind that comes with helping a struggling artist with a sore throat, such as myself. And to those of you who are already patrons, thank you so much. You rock. So once again, that's patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. Support the show and get access to over 130 bonus episodes. I have a show email I still haven't checked. I have a show subreddit and socials that I was active on TikTok. I'm not really using TikTok anymore. I might wind up back there, but I don't know. I'm mostly on Rednote and Reddit. But anyway, you can find all those details in the Patreon link written in the episode description, so you don't have to try to rack your brain remembering what it was. I've written it down for you. Does that stop anyone from not reading? No. You know, when you go to any store, if you've worked any kind of public-facing job where you have a store that has open hours and closed hours, and it has a big sign right there, right in front of where the person's going to be, and it says either open or closed, and it shows the time that it opens or closes, that still won't stop potential customers from banging on the door, rattling it, and screaming, "Why aren't you open? Why aren't you open?" Oh, man, people. We're going to be reading about people. To take it easy on myself, I'm just going to dig into some stuff on r/Tfue. Today I fucked up. And I've got a hot story pulled up. Let me take a sip of hot water to cool my throat. And we're just going to jump into it. Just a second. And I'm back. As usual, I haven't read any of these things ahead of time. As a matter of fact, I'm just skimming through and pulling them up as we go along. And this one caught my eye. So we're coming in hot, at least hot with a title. Today I fucked up by secretly filling my family cabin's septic tank with used condoms and letting my siblings take the blame. Oh, were you flushing rubber Johnnies? Or were you flushing Jimmies down the drain? Yeah, you're not supposed to flush those. Even if you have a fucking sewer, you don't flush used condoms. Don't flush hair. Don't flush gum. Flush septic safe, sewer safe products like toilet paper. This stuff is specifically designed to disintegrate for easy water flow. There's like these wet wipes you can use on your bum, and they will say, oh, it's flush safe, it's septic safe. No, it's not. Those things never are. Napkins are not flush safe. Paper towels are not flush safe. Only toilet paper, which is specifically designed to disintegrate, is toilet safe. Now, that said, let's read. When was this posted? 9 hours ago. Oh, wow. Oh, fuck, it's from Chicken of the Year. Holy shit. Give me a second. Hold on. Oh, what a surprise. I promise you, I did not plan this. I didn't even look who wrote this. I just saw the title and I was like, okay, this is a hot one to start with. But this story was posted 9 hours ago by Chicken of the Year, which means it's about late after 9 hours ago. I was kind of in the morning or around noon, maybe, for Chicken of the Year, because this Reddit user lives in Norway, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Norway. And I did a whole, I believe it was 2 episodes about this user. There are plenty of insane people on the internet. There are plenty of insane people on Reddit. This user is famously insane. This is, in my eyes, the most famous insane Redditor. Redditor, in case you didn't know, is a word for a person who regularly uses Reddit.com. Chicken of the Year. If you missed the episodes, I highly encourage you to go back and check them out on my show. If you're listening on audio podcasts, scroll back. I will have episode titled Chicken of the Year, and it is about this user. And if you're on YouTube, go to my channel, look up Chicken of the Year. These stories are insane. This user is wild. I won't say in disgusting ways, but in ways I guarantee that will surprise you. I felt like Zach Bagans saying that. Yeah. And now, just a quick rundown again. Chicken of the Year was someone who made international news about 2 or 3 years ago by, people suspected, and people didn't know who this user was, but they outed themselves, sort of, in an anonymous way. They outed themselves as the culprit of this potential, it wasn't even a potential, it was a mistaken dead body case in Norway. So yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, this story made international news where someone was driving to work and they thought they saw a naked, all nude except for the socks, corpse on the side of a road, like a country road out in the mountains, right? Not too far from some towns, but, it was a bit of a rural road, which, of course, because it's Norway, anywhere in Europe, really, Central, Western, and Northern Europe, at least, rural roads are in much better condition than rural roads in the United States. But that aside, someone was driving along and they saw a pale, naked, except for the socks, corpse on the side of the road. Like, just didn't even fully make it into the ditch, right? So they called the cops. Cops show up. They see this from a distance. They're like, oh my God, we've got a dumped body here. Yet when they got closer, they found it was a real doll or something like that. A realistic, life-size, full-body sex doll, okay? Wearing nothing except for socks on its doll feet. And this story made international news. And not long afterwards, Chicken of the Year posted about it saying, "It was me. I'm the one who dumped it." And you could be incredulous and say, well, bullshit, anyone could say that. Except when you go and look at this Reddit user's posting history, there is no doubt, in my mind at least, that Chicken of the Year was the guy. This is someone who takes his fleshlights on dates and takes pictures with it. He never puts himself in the picture, but he will arrange like flowers and stuff. He held a funeral for one of his fleshlight. I think it was called Fluffy or something like that. Or no, Snowball, Snowflake, something like that. Like he dressed it up like in a nice little scarf and everything. And a strong wind came and blew it off a cliff. And he held a funeral for his fleshlight. He ruined his family life because he's such a freak with the sex toys. He will have like dramatized stories with his different sex dolls and stuff. What an insane user. I encourage you to check out the episodes, and audio listeners, if you're not already, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, in the search bar, type in That Thing with James. My channel will pop up. Subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Holy shit. Chicken of the Year is here again for a new year. My God, I can't believe it's already March. What the fuck? 2026. I'm recording this on March 8th, 2026. At what rightly should be 9:29 a.m., but instead it's 10:29 because this is the first day of Spring Forward. Fuck Spring Forward. Let's read on. Okay. Posted 9 hours ago by Chicken of the Year. Title: Today I fucked up by filling my family cabin's septic tank with used condoms and letting my siblings take the blame. When I was a teenager, I used to flush condoms I had used for masturbating in the toilet. I know today you're not supposed to flush them, but the teenager me was not thinking that very far. At home, it was never a problem because the house was connected to public sewage. Again, the sewer's not the problem. It's the pipes that lead to the sewer that can still get clogged up. Let's keep reading. But we also had a family cabin on a small island, and I kept slushing condoms there. I think he means flushing condoms. What I did not understand at the time was that the cabin toilet went to a septic tank, and my dad was the one who had to manually empty it. I know about this because I've had to empty septic tanks before. It's a shitty business. One weekend, he was preparing to do the horrible job of opening the empty tank. He made a huge number out of it. This was very manual work, shovel and bucket and trolley bucket type situation. He opens the lid, and apparently the surface is just full of floating condoms, floating everywhere. He starts swearing loudly. Everyone comes outside. My sisters and brother look down into the tank and almost throw up. They immediately became the obvious suspects. They were older, all in relationships, and very much at the age where parents can assume they have the sex. Yes, that's what the Chicken of the Year wrote. They have the sex. This is a Norwegian Redditor, okay? Meanwhile, I was the younger kid, not with no girlfriend, so it clearly couldn't be me. They all got the accusations while I stood there acting confused like everyone else. I even asked what it was. Our dad was strict and gave consequences if we behaved wrongly. And since they were the quote unquote guilty ones, they had to help my dad with the wonderful job of emptying the septic tank. Buckets, shovel, and floating condoms all over the place. To this day, my siblings still argue sometimes about whose fault it was and who used the cabin to have sex. No one has still ever suspected me. TLDR, as a teenager, I flushed condoms at our family cabin without realizing it had a septic tank. My dad opened it to empty it and found a floating pile of them. My siblings still get blamed. I wonder if anyone in the comments is going to clock that this is the infamous Chicken of the Year. Let's read. Top comment. Condoms don't belong in municipal draining systems either. They don't break down. Put them in the trash, please. To which someone else replies, I can't believe you're the first to say this. Don't flush condoms ever. Yeah, this is true. Someone else says, just wrap it in toilet paper and throw it in the trash. It's easier and less disgusting for everyone involved in the process. Unless you can smell it, that mushroom smell. Another comment. This might be the craziest spelling of consequences I've ever seen. Yes, agreed. Were you worried about your hand getting pregnant? There are so many other options before you get to buying, using, and flushing condoms. Here's the thing. I'm not going to say one way or another, but I can say, theoretically, hypothetically, I understand what Chicken of the Year's was going for. With coverage, things working, a little bit more like a vacuum seal your hand can't do. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Next comment, why waste a condom to masturbate? Yeah, these people hypothetically haven't done this. Another comment, imagining opening a septic tank and finds what looks like a jellyfish convention inside. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Here's one commenter says, I made the mistake. I made the mistake of going through OP's post history. This human being wrote a poem expressing that he views women as walking fleshlights. The horror of existing in his near vicinity. Someone else commented, what a horrible day to be literate. Another person commented, apparently there's a part of Reddit where his quote-unquote cream puff stories are infamous. Now I'm part of it. Yeah. To which someone else replies, excuse me? Another person, I've come across this profile before. ... And yet another commenter says, don't forget about him becoming famous for throwing a sex doll out of the window of his car. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Another comment, this guy's post history is disturbing. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, what the fuck is your post history, bro? Yeah. Ooh. What the fuck is this? Okay, never mind. I'm gonna take a second and try to pull up some more stuff. I'm going to decide if I'm gonna pull up more Chicken of the Year or not. Just a second. I couldn't help it. I had to pull up some more Chicken of the Year. Oh my God. This one was posted by Chicken of the Year on r/confession 25 days ago. Title: I used to perform quote unquote stealth shots at school, and I still regret it. Back in the middle school, I was so bored during class that I secretly taught myself to masturbate without using my hands. I'd wrap my dick in toilet paper during break, sit perfectly still at my desk, and used only my pelvic muscles to edge for the entire lesson. No movement, no noise, total silence. Eventually, I could finish without anyone noticing. It became my weird little private challenge, training for the perfect incognito cum shot. Proudly, I called them stealth shots. Looking back at it, I know it came from a darker place. I was bullied, deeply insecure, and carrying a lot of unresolved baggage. Brother, I think you still are. Instead of dealing with my stress in a healthy way, I chose something immature and secretive. I regret it. Pain might explain my behavior, but it does not excuse it. Edit. I can still perform stealth shots, but I prefer using my precious fleshlight. Oh my God, this person's nuts. Top comment. This is some shit a Stephen King character would do. Yeah, 100%. Another commenter says, now that's a fucking confession. To which someone else replies, not gonna lie, that's exactly the kind of unhinged honesty this sub exists for. Yeah. And frankly, that commenter has to say that is one of the reasons I don't regularly rely on the confessions subreddit, because often they're just fucking lame and boring. No, man, come in with some unhinged stuff. Let's see here. Anyone else? Okay, we got another comment here saying, when I was a senior, there was a dude who would, oh my God, blatantly beat his meat in class. He would shove his hand into his pocket, which I assumed was cut to allow him access. Then he would lean over and act like he was really into whatever was on his desk, but even Ray Charles would have known what he was doing. I have no clue why he never got talked to about it. Anyway, that being said, everyone knew what you were doing. Yeah. Ooh, another commenter says, plot twist. You were bullied because you smelled like ejaculate, and this whole vicious cycle could have been avoided. Yeah, more people. Everyone doubts that no one knew. Yeah. Okay. I'm running out of steam with my throat soreness here, so like I said, this is going to be a short one, and that's enough Chicken of the Year. What a unexpected visit from a fucking psycho. Oh, by the way, this is a explicit, mature podcast, so you may hear explicit words and content. Thank you for tuning in. I have a lot more on my Patreon account, and they're longer episodes too. Although this week's is probably going to be shorter because I don't feel too good. But yeah, support the show at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. Thank you for tuning in. I hope I feel better soon. Hope to catch you next time. Bye.